From Studio A of Arlington Community Media, it's The Electricity Show. And here is your host, Barry Pulmeter.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And welcome. Welcome to the pilot episode of The Electricity Show, the show in which we explore our relationship with the energy we consume. I am your host, Barry Pulmeter, a 19-year resident of Arlington and a 25-year veteran of the energy industry. I'm a musician and a songwriter, and in my most recent venture, I am the co-founder of eDate, the online dating service designed specifically for the energy enthusiast. This will be the first of what will be a series of shows in which we will be joined by friends, some experts in the energy field, others not, with whom we will play some music, have some laughs, and most importantly, explore our relationships with the energy we consume. Our objective at the Electricity Show is a serious one: to inform and educate the residents of Arlington and the citizens of the Commonwealth at large about the energy-related issues you will experience or hear about in the news, both currently and in the future. In one of my songs, I write that I know it's just human nature to be frightened and threatened by the things that we don't understand. Well, as the world around us gets more complex, more complicated, and more confusing, it's just human nature for us to become increasingly frightened and threatened, and to view the world through increasingly cynical eyes. Here at the Electricity Show, we will provide our viewers with the information you need to better understand the issues that are going on in our not-so-little slice of the world, the energy world, and to do it in a way that is fun and entertaining. Now, what are the energy-related issues of which I speak? Well, we need to look no further than the front page of the business section of today's Boston Globe, February 25, where the headline reads, "Unbalance of power, even as cheaper supplies are cutting bills for homes heating with natural gas. Electricity customers are stuck with spiking rates based on last fall's scenarios." Or we can turn to the back page of today's business section, where an advertisement announces that New England's energy has a new name, Eversource. Or we could turn to page 6 of today's Globe, which reports that President Obama vetoed legislation passed by Congress regarding construction of the Keystone XL oil pipeline, which would bring oil from Canada to refineries in Texas. And that's just today's paper. In recent days and weeks, you may have read about proposed natural gas pipelines into Massachusetts, or a proposed transmission line that would bring hydroelectric power from Canada. Now, unless you're the kind of energy enthusiast for whom eDate is specifically designed, these issues likely leave your head spinning. Well, have no fear. The Electricity Show is here to help you. Over our series of shows, we will explore all of these issues, as well as many others. Now, you may be wondering, why is energy and electricity such a hot ticket item these days? Pardon the pun, but the answer can be stated in 2 words: climate change. There is little doubt in my mind that the effects of climate change will represent one of the greatest challenges that our generation and future generations will face for years to come. There is also little doubt in my mind that the increasing concerns about climate change will pose significant challenges to the energy industry and will require energy consumers to become more aware of our consumption decisions. In the good old days, electricity prices were low and predictable. Not so anymore. As environmental considerations become more prevalent, electricity prices are likely to increase and become less predictable. It is in this context that the Electricity takes on the bold mission of becoming the one-stop shopping source of information on energy-related issues, so that we are all better equipped to explore our relationships with the energy we consume.
Funding for the Electricity Show is provided by eDate, the online dating service designed specifically for the energy enthusiast, and by Pulmeter University, training our students to apply yesterday's technologies to tomorrow's problems. Now back to the Electricity Show.
Now, Energy News and Review. In this segment, we explore the issues raised in today's Globe article. Just why have our electric bills gone up so much recently? To begin this discussion, let's compare an electric bill from November to one from January. Specifically, let's compare the prices listed for each of the two major components of the bill: delivery services and supplier services. Delivery services, as its name implies, refers to the delivery of electricity through transmission and distribution wires from the facilities that generate electricity into our homes. Supplier services refer to the purchase of the actual commodity electricity. In the simplest terms, it involves purchasing wholesale electricity from electric generators for resale to retail customers. First, let's compare the changes under the delivery services part of the bill between November and January bills. As you can see, the customer charge, which is a $1 per month charge, remained the same, $6.43 per month, while the cents per kilowatt hour decreased slightly from 8.423 cents per kilowatt hour to 8.287, a decrease of about 1.6%. So why did delivery service charges basically stay the same? Because there was basically no change in the cost to provide this service. In contrast to delivery services, the supply service part of the bill, in this case, the basic service charge, increased significantly from 9.379 cents per kilowatt hour to over 15 cents per kilowatt hour, an increase of 60%. So for a customer that uses 600 kilowatt hours per month, a usage value usually ascribed to a typical customer, the delivery services part of the bill would decrease slightly from $57 in November to $56 in January, while the supplier services of the bill would increase significantly from $56 in November to $90, an increase of about 60%. As a result, the total bill for this customer would increase from approximately $113 in November to $146 in January, an increase of approximately 30%. So let's talk about why the supply part of the bill increased so significantly. To do so, we need to go back about 15 years when the Massachusetts legislature passed legislation called the Electric Restructuring Act. Prior to this act, delivery and supply service were provided as monopoly services by regulated electric companies. That means that customers had no choice but to purchase these services as a bundled product from their electric company. After the Restructuring Act, delivery services remained unchanged, but the supply service component of your bill was open to competition. And this is at both the wholesale and retail levels. What does this mean? Well, at the wholesale supply level, electric companies, which previously owned the large majority of generation units in New England, sold their units to private, unregulated entities. Buyers of wholesale power could now purchase that supply from a variety of sellers and not just from our large electric companies. At the retail level, customers have the opportunity to purchase the supply component of their electric service from entities other than their electric companies. These new entities are known as competitive suppliers. Electric companies continue to provide basic service to those customers that do not choose a competitive supplier. Currently, the large percentage of residential customers receive basic service from their companies. So now let's talk about basic service, because that was the part of the bill that we saw increase by 60%. Annually, electric companies purchase wholesale supply for their basic service customers through 2 solicitations held 6 months apart. Suppliers submit bids to provide 50% of the basic service supply requirement for a 12-month period. The bid prices they submit are in large part based on market expectations of wholesale electricity prices over the 12-month period. Eversource/NSTAR Electric purchased its basic service supply for the current winter months in 2 solicitations held in May and November of 2014. The high basic service prices we currently see are due to high market expectations for wholesale prices during the 2015 winter months at the time of those solicitations. So now let's talk a little about wholesale electricity prices. They are determined in large part by the types of fuels used by electric generators in the region. Recently, because of environmental considerations, there has been a significant increase in the amount of electricity that is generated by units fired by natural gas, and a corresponding decrease in units fired by coal and oil. The result being that currently, wholesale electricity prices are based in large part of the cost of delivering natural gas to generators in the region. We keep going. During the winter months, there's competition for the natural gas that can be brought into the region between natural gas generators and customers that heat their homes/businesses with natural gas. And whenever there's not enough natural gas to be brought into the region, heating customers are given priority. So it's important to know that such shortages occur not because there's insufficient natural gas, but that there is insufficient natural gas that can be distributed through the region. Hence the discussion about building additional gas pipeline capacity in Massachusetts. Market expectations. Remember we talked about in the solicitations in 2014, the market expected high prices in 2015. Why? Well, at the time of the solicitations, like I just said, the market expectations were that wholesale prices during 2015 winter months would mirror the historically high levels seen during the winter months of 2014. That was the polar vortex, very cold winter. And when you look at NYMEX electricity futures prices, a well-known indicator of market expectations, they told us that they expected 2015 to be a lot like 2014 in terms of the high level of prices. So the bad news is, because of what the market expected back 3 and 9 months ago, we have to deal with very high prices. The good news is the prices will change again in July. Not that soon, but they will change. And we should expect a return to the prices that were in effect during those same months in 2014, approximately 8 to 9 cents per kilowatt hour. So we should go back almost that complete 60% and get back to where we were. So I hope this explanation was helpful. That shouldn't be there. That does it for the Energy News and Review. And it is time now to bring on our first guest. He's an Arlington resident whom I've known for 25 years. He's been working on energy-related issues for the past 35 years and is respected nationwide as an expert on energy efficiency matters, and as a dedicated advocate for environmental and consumer rights. Please welcome my good friend, Tim. We're going to play one of my original songs. It's a song I wrote most recently, and I co-wrote it with a friend, Charles. The genesis of the song is I was visiting my mom in Florida, and Charles is one of the people who takes care of her. And he started playing the guitar. I didn't really know he played the guitar, but he was playing these chords and doing some really great strumming and hammering. And he told me he hadn't written a melody or words, but he just loved playing that. And I asked him if he'd be okay if I turned it into a real song. He said he would love it. I asked him what he thinks about when he plays the song, and he told me it's like he's in a car and the wind is blowing through his hair and the trees are going by on his side, and it's just a feeling of freedom. And this is the song I wrote. Ready?
I'm ready.
Every day of the week, when the sun's shining down, well, that's the right time for me to ride. Any time of the night, when the moonbeams hit the ground, well, that's the right time for me to ride. You don't own me, I own myself. My cares, they pass me on the left, followed closely by my troubles when it's the right time for me to ride. There's no clouds up in the sky, no drops of rain fall down on my head when it's the right time for me to ride. You don't know me, I know myself. And I'm as free as a bird, there's no bird freer than me, 'cause this is my time to ride. Like eagles soaring through the air, wings stretched here to there, this is my time to ride. You don't own me, I own you don't know me, I know and you can't stop me. Only I can stop myself. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back. I'd like to welcome my friend Tim, to the couch. So, Tim, I announced before you're a great expert on energy efficiency matters. You've been working around the country. Why don't you tell us something you do in that's particular interest?
Sure. So I'm a consultant, first of all. Most of my clients are consumer advocates, environmental advocates, government agencies. And I do a lot of things, but one of my favorite things is energy efficiency. And most people don't know it, but every state has different kinds of requirements for the utilities to provide energy efficiency services to their customers. And a lot of my work is providing expert studies and testimony to those states to try to get them to do a good job on energy efficiency. And some states do a great job, other states are way behind the curve. So a lot of my work is in those states, trying to get them to get the most out of their energy efficiency opportunities.
Uh-huh. Well, as we both know, recently the Massachusetts state legislature passed a legislation which we call the Green Communities Act, did a lot of things with renewable energy. But one thing that's relevant to this discussion, it significantly increased the amount of dollars that our electric companies will spend on energy efficiency, funded through money collected through our electric bills. And as a result, spending on energy efficiency over the past several years has increased from maybe $200 million a year in 2009 to somewhere around $800 million a year on both electric and gas energy efficiency. And the big provision there is that the companies have to determine and demonstrate that the benefits that flow from these investments in energy efficiency exceed the costs. So I'll open up to you, and maybe you could talk about what exactly is energy efficiency. Let's set the table there, and why is it so important that we should spend quite so much money?
Sure. So efficiency is a concept of using technologies, measures, and different applications to use our energy, use less energy, but get the same services or even improve services. And it exists in almost every electrical source you can think of, whether it's light bulbs or refrigerators or motors. And there are a multitude of opportunities for making those use less energy, provide the same service. And the beauty of energy efficiency is it's pervasive. It's in every home, every building. And there's a vast amount of it. And it even continues to increase over time as new technologies come in to provide sort of more efficient opportunities.
Great. And why is it so important? Why are we spending so much money on it?
Two reasons. Cost and environmental impacts. As regard to cost, you talked a lot about cost already on the show. One thing you didn't mention is that our electricity system, first of all, is a very expensive system. People don't realize it, but it's multi-billions of dollars to run this system, and it's aging. And so in addition to cleaning up the system, we have to keep it maintained. It's been around for many, many years, but a lot of systems need work. So that means more transmission costs, more distribution costs, and more generation costs. And energy efficiency is one way to keep those to a minimum. And then secondly, the environment. It is the most plentiful source of clean energy that I'm aware of, and the lowest cost as well. So anytime you talk about climate change, energy efficiency should be the first option to turn to.
And this is a good opportunity. Again, the Massachusetts state legislature passed legislation even more recently than the Green Communities Act, called the Global Warming Solutions Act, which requires a state to reduce its emissions by the year 2050 by 80% vis-a-vis 1990 levels. Do I have that correct?
You do.
Yeah, so that seems like quite an ambitious goal. I guess energy efficiency is a huge part of that.
Yeah, and to give you a sense of how ambitious that is, you could imagine by 2050 turning off all of our electricity, just turning it all off. No lights, no motors, no air conditioners, no nothing. And then turning off all of our transportation sources, no airplanes, no cars, no electric systems, nothing. If you turned all them off, you still wouldn't get to that goal. So we're going to have to find ways to make energy extremely clean. And we have, not that much time to get from here to there. Our industry moves kind of slowly. So that's how important that is. And yes, energy efficiency, you know, you've probably heard the multitude of options that are put out there. Switching to gas is one, but that's really very short term, and gas has emissions. Another one is sometimes people refer to nuclear power as an option. I'm not a fan of that. It's extremely expensive, and there's many unresolved issues. That leaves renewables and efficiency. And renewables, great. We have to do all we can, but there are limitations and there are costs to that, whereas efficiency is everywhere and very low cost.
So let's talk about something. Before I mention this cynicism that comes out, and my fear is that people here were spending $800 million a year and just think it's another example of government run amok. And so I think one way to discuss that is put it in the context, how do we compare with other states in the country in terms of these activities?
Yeah, first of all, I want to make a couple points. One is the efficiency that is delivered by the utilities in Massachusetts and elsewhere. I describe it as a service. It's another service that they provide, like transmission service, generation service. And so it's an important way to see that as part of the whole package. And secondly, yes, Massachusetts spends $800 million on this, but according to the estimates that we have, the benefits of those investments are 2 to 3 times that over the long run. So their benefits are huge. Other states are not as well experienced, and they don't do as good a job as Massachusetts. Massachusetts has been ranked #1 in the country for energy efficiency for the past 3 years, I believe, because it has a long history of understanding the benefits, how important it is. Many states do a small fraction of what Massachusetts does. A handful of states do almost as much as we do, but really the majority of states are way behind. And a lot of it is well, it's the politics, it's utilities and the regulators and even the public not quite understanding it. And that's why it's so important for me, for you, for people in the audience to sort of learn about this to make sure that they get it and they make it work as well as possible.
And I think it's important to note that in Massachusetts, we've been doing energy efficiency like this since about 1990, before 1990.
We were one of the first states, yeah.
Yeah, we have a really rich history.
Yep.
So I think another thing I'd really love people to walk away with is, you're paying money for this stuff. What can they do to make sure that they extract the maximum value for themselves?
Yeah, so there's lots to be done. And I will start out with a point, which is a lot of my friends, colleagues ask me, you know, how can I reduce my environmental footprint? Because that's on people's minds. And a lot of people say, should I put photovoltaics on my roof, you know? And my response is, well, that's fine. But if you want to save money right away, the first thing you should do is energy efficiency. People also ask about, you know, well, should I buy green power from my electric company where it's supposedly renewable power? And again, I say, fine if you want to do that, but it's much cheaper and it's to your benefit. It's lower cost to do efficiency. And so the options that you have are numerous. Like everybody should look around their houses and around their businesses. And literally for every electric end use, there's a good chance that there is something they can do to make it more efficient. Light bulbs is a big example. Everyone gets light bulbs, but also refrigerators. The efficiency of refrigerators has come down dramatically in the past 20 years. And if your fridge is any more than, say, 12 years old, you should just replace it. It'll pay for itself very soon. But to get help with this is not easy, right? And other people don't really care that much. So there are many resources out there. There's the U.S. Department of Energy has lots of websites. You Google it and you'll find it quickly. But most importantly is take advantage of the services that your electric utility offers you. In the Arlington area, we're served by NSTAR for electric, and also not to mention Natural Grid for gas. And you can find on their website and also on their bills references to their utility programs. Sign up, have them come to your house, have them give you an audit, and they will identify all the things that you can do, how quick it will pay for itself, and they will offer, in some cases, very large incentives to go ahead and adopt the measures. Incentives that reduce the initial cost, and in some cases, they'll give you a list of contractors, they'll tell you about the federal tax credits, the state tax credits, and give you a package to help you reduce your consumption in your whole house.
So I know there are 2 types of programs. One in which the distribution company will send someone to your house, and that's called, I think, the Home Energy Assessment Program. And I should say that all these programs are delivered under the umbrella name of Mass Save.
Yes.
So that is something for people to know. You can go to masssave.com probably and get a sense of all the programs. And I think that's easier for people to understand because they know that if the cost would have been $2,000, maybe it's been bought down to $1,200 or $800. We also know that there's this heat loan program available, 0% financing.
Yeah, I took advantage of that myself. It was great. So I have a house. I've been there for 9 years now. After a few years, the boiler, you could tell it was about to die. It was an old oil boiler. There was a hole in it this big with rust, and you could see the flames in there. And I knew it was going to die. And I also know from my experience that once it dies, especially if it's in the winter, you got to replace it right away. And getting an efficient boiler may not be that easy. So I sort of proactively contacted the gas company, and they gave me a great deal where they gave me a huge discount on a very efficient gas boiler. So I switched from oil to gas, and they gave me a no-interest loan for 7 years. So I put up almost nothing, and I got this huge reduction in my heating cost right away.
So, and to let people know, what happens is that that's just the cost of the program. You get a zero interest loan. The interest paid to the bank that's providing it is provided through the dollars collected through our electric bills. And so what happens when we go to stores like Home Depot and Lowe's and buy light bulbs, or we go to a Sears and buy refrigerators or washers and dryers? How is the program helping us save money on those?
Yeah, so the programs are designed to cover a variety of sectors and a variety of ways people use energy. So one is, retrofitting your home and changing out inefficient. But it also focuses on new equipment that people go out and buy. So, and they have these really great, like almost invisible upstream programs, it's called. By upstream, it means the utilities will work with the manufacturers and the distributors, and they'll provide incentives to manufacture, distribute, and display the compact fluorescent light bulbs you've seen for years and the LED light bulbs you've seen now, with the rebate already built in, so you don't have to do any hassle for filling in forms or anything. And those programs have literally driven the development of compact fluorescents and now LEDs, not just in the states that are doing it, but it's also had this spillover effect where now they're being sold in other states as well because of the people, the manufacturers have learned there's a market for this and customers want this.
So LEDs are an impressive technology, huh? It seems like a great leap forward in light bulb technology.
It's fantastic. And, a few years back, we didn't know how soon they'd be available at this price and at this quality of light. And now they're here, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah. I'm going to have to say, as someone who follows this, does this actively, it's an impressive leap forward in what we do with energy efficiency. And we've talked about residential. The same exists for small commercial customers, larger commercial customers, new construction at the commercial end and on the residential end. So there is a lot to be said about what we're doing here. Well, two things. You've been a great guest. Thank you. Does anyone in the audience who can applaud? I'm not ashamed to say that Tim continually impresses me. We're not going to applaud the rest of our lives, though. I want to be clear about that. If we have any questions from the audience, you've got one of the great experts in the universe. No, that's fine. Well, I really want to thank you dearly.
My pleasure.
You've really been great. I'm going to ask you to move over a little bit because I'm going to bring out our second set of guests. They're both Arlington residents. I've known them both for about 20 years. Jim E. is a software engineer. Not so fast, son. Who's doing this great work on software for music composers to allow them to write online, to hear what they're writing online, to share what they're doing with others who could provide feedback and even provide recommended improvements. I think that's a great thing. Jim N. is a piano technician, a drummer who has played with most of the great musicians in the Boston area. So I'm going to ask you to give a big round of applause to my friends, the Jims. Jim N, pleasure. You can sit next to me. Jim E, pleasure. Have a seat. Thank you, my good friends, the Jims. Now, the way that this show is structured, first we have an expert, someone who works in the energy field and provides us the benefit of his great knowledge. And then we bring on just friends. We're going to play music later to end the show. And what we do is we pull up the electric bill, talk about all the information that can be gleaned from the bill, and then you can ask questions of me, you can ask questions of Tim. So this is a bill that we see, and we could see on top, it tells us that, if you want to turn your attention here, N-Star is now Eversource, so they're letting us know that. Tell us to visit their website. You could see an account summary of the money this customer had to pay, meter rebate. It gives you 12 months of usage, so you can track that a little bit. It lets you know that the usage they're ascribing to you is based on meter reads. They're not estimating it. And here, before I simplified the discussion into delivery services and supplier services, indeed within each, it's more granular. Under delivery services, there's this customer charge. I did talk about that. But that cents per kilowatt hour charge pays for distribution, transition, forget about that for right now, transmission, renewable energy, energy conservation. Each one has a separate rate. They all get applied to the same kilowatt hour usage. So you could see that for this customer, it was about $66 for the delivery component. For the supplier services, it's a basic service customer being billed at 15 cents. It's over $100 for a total bill. So let me just ask you guys, do you have any questions? First of all, do you have a look at your bill? Either one of you. Have you seen an electric bill before?
Well, I'm looking at this one right here, and I'm seeing it says, "Thank you for going paperless." So there's obviously a mistake right there. So I hope there's no other, because that math is a little bit beyond what I can comprehend.
Yes,
but-
well, you know, through the, actually through a course I took at Pulmeter University,
Right, of course,
I
yeah.
printed out a copy, scanned it, put it into my computer, and it's really quite amazing.
sure.
So let me turn to you, Jim. You ever look at a bill? Yeah.
I'm as ignorant a consumer as you'll ever come across.
I don't think that's true.
I'm happy to just turn on my lights and use my media and turn on the washing machine, the dryer, all the things that we take for granted, and happily send that check off every month without ever even glancing at this bill. But
Well,
I
you
tell you,
can
I've learned a lot just listening to Tim so far, and I'm very curious.
Okay, well, you can see we have an energy conservation charge. That goes to the types of services that about which Tim spoke. In addition, part of this distribution charge goes to energy efficiency. So my question is, fellows, you're paying for it. Are you taking advantage of it? I'll start with Jim E. Have you done any energy efficiency through the Mass Save programs?
Actually, we have. They made it really easy. It was a kind of a no-brainer decision. They said, you'll save money on your heating bill and your electric bill over time, and we'll even make it cheap for you. And they insulated our attic, and we'll see. But we're very happy that this happened.
Excellent. And what about you, Jim N?
Well, I'm very impressed by Tim's knowledge. I mean, I'm glad guys like him exist. 'Cause
I'm here also. You, know
You are too.
Okay,
You're
I just wanna make sure I-
thoroughly an expert, and I'm glad you, because I really don't. No, I haven't really. I guess I'm one of those people that just sort of takes advantage of it. I'm glad it's there. I know that we have great service. You know, I'm a big fan of Eversource.
You love the Eversource.
Oh, I think the
Love
Eversource. I like the new
Yes.
name because I know the source is going to be for there forever.
Forever. That's
It certainly is
Hence-
new.
Yeah. So should I probably? Yeah, and that's why I'm glad this show is existing, because now it's going to bring it to the forefront, and we're all going to a lot of us are married, so we're not going to join E-Date, but the other, but we will get other things from this show, I think, and sort of maybe take measure. But
Well, now that you mention, are you an energy enthusiast anyway?
oh, certainly. I thought we were going to get energy bars when you told me we were going to be here, and obviously that didn't happen. But I'm going to play music, and that's sort of that's a form of energy. So I'm excited.
Now,
yeah.
you're a small businessman. Bottom line, have you done any energy conservation in your place of business?
Not really. It's a low-tech business. I'm in the piano business, so we really don't. I don't see us being a huge consumer. Now, obviously, you shouldn't think that way. Everybody can do their part, right? Notice I'm wearing a chapeau. Everybody should wear a hat because you get warm and you don't have to use all the electric.
Let's hear it for Jim, really.
You know, ever since President Kennedy didn't wear a hat as an inauguration, people didn't wear hats anymore. But hats are, keep you warm. And I wear a hat a lot because I'm follically challenged and such. But
I'm not ashamed to say it's people like Jim that make me believe that there's potential for world peace. I just believe that. Okay, let's keep moving on. So what about this renewable energy thing? Do you have any idea where your money's going for that? Do you
So-
care?
I mean, there are things in life that we are not meant to understand.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that this isn't one of them. Like, what happens after we die? Why is the cat doing that? And so forth. But, I'm taking a wild stab here. We're paying the energy company to figure out ways to sell us less of their product.
Well, actually, that's very interesting, very insightful
far off.
comment, because that's what we're doing with energy efficiency. And indeed, when we started spending almost $1 billion a year, we had to really change the way they establish rates because of the fact that they're spending money to reduce their metered usage and their revenue. So that's a great point. Well, let me just talk about renewable energy. That's a charge which the electric companies collect and pass on to an entity called the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. And they invest in an array of renewable projects, similar to what Mass Save does in energy efficiency, except it's not provided through our electric companies. And really the idea gets back down to this 80% reduction. We have to mine every possible way for us to figure out how to generate electricity in an environmentally benign way. Yep.
Seems like a good deal.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, so let me just ask one last question before we go play some music. And in one of our practices, Jim notes that we are unplugged. Electricity unplugged? Okay.
Energy efficiency.
Yeah. You can't buy audiences like this, I just swear.
It's a
It's a great audience. It's a great audience.
Oh, yeah. What?
And actually, the audience of Dr. John sucks. I heard that.
Don't go there.
No, I love Dr. John.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. John and Leon Russell are my favorite piano players. Let's leave it right there.
Okay.
So I mentioned before, you're not forced to be a basic service customer. You can actually go out and pick a competitive supplier for electricity. Have either of you, do you know about it? Have you gotten phone calls? Have you switched? Jimmy, you seem to say no.
It just confuses me. I don't understand. It's not somebody else is going to come out and read your meter. It's not that somebody's going to come and string a new set of wires to the street to your house. It's not a different set of generators on the other end. What is it? What are we swapping?
Okay, well, that's a great question, and I will try and answer it. So remember I talked about before, supplier services involves, in the simplest way, somebody goes to a generator and buys the power and sells it back to you. What does a competitive market do? It creates a menu of products that it can offer to you. It might be, see, we talked before, the basic service charge is now 15 cents, and that's because the electric companies went out on a predetermined schedule and purchased electricity, and the prices were very high. As the Boston Globe article points out, if they went out today, the prices would be significantly lower. But the market expectations back when they went out, and they had no choice when to go out, ended up in a basic service product that's 15 cents. Not saying you should look for a competitive supplier, but it's very likely during these winter months or the 6-month period, January through June, they could provide you a better price because they weren't required to enter into a 12-month contract in November of 2014 and a 12-month contract. They might have said, you know, let's wait till we get closer to the winter when prices come down. So my only advice to you is I get why you would say this is a joke, right? You're not, the meter reader is the same, the wires stay the same, the generator. But the fact is because they, the good news is about a regulated option like basic service is you know it'll be there and there's a government agency that oversees it. Competitive markets are a little bit different. But I think you will find that as time goes on and hopefully more competitors enter the market, they can offer you products that you might find valuable. And I know I asked you when we were practicing for this how much your electricity bill would have to go up before it would catch your attention. You know, so if your bill is $100 and you can save $8, $9, and this was really in the old days, it was really difficult to make much of a case. If electric bills are going to creep closer to $200, I wonder whether it'll catch people's attention because,
Oh, $200 more?
or just 200s in
I'm
general.
off the grid.
You're off the grid,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm going pretty much bicycle in the basement and produce my
Yeah,
own.
I want to talk, because you've mentioned this a few times. Before I play some music, what exactly do you mean by off the grid, Jim?
Just, you know, you don't do with any of the services, you know.
Any
You just sort of-
services, yeah.
you're on your own, a survivalist on your own. Of course, I would never do that because you know I'm too urban and I enjoy all my creature comforts and such.
Yes,
So
you
I
do.
would never do that. So the electric company has nothing to worry about me. I'm not going to go off the grid. I'll stay with them.
Do you have any questions for Tim before we go play some music?
If they did, it wouldn't help because I got no mic.
Oh.
He has Shane Mack. Okay, so I think we're going to end the discussion. Let's have a big round of applause for the Jims. Thank you.
Play some music there.
I'm going to ask the Jims to get ready, walk over there, and I'm going to talk. We're going to play another of my original songs, so you have to take off your microphones.
And you're going to Barry on.
I'm going to Barry on just for a few minutes, so you can go over there and play. Carry on, Barry on. He's clever. He's clever. I never run out of adjectives for Jim N. Another song I wrote. Over the past 12 months, I've written a bunch of songs. Let's get rid of this. Or not. I've written a bunch of songs, the lyrics of which were motivated by my experiences and frustrations at work. So that was my motivation. I started bringing notebooks and writing down things at meetings. And it would start with a specific event, but then it would get broader. And then I realized almost all my songs really sounded like love songs. Now, they were mostly songs of broken love. And so they really became just songs of relationships. And I like to say that what's interesting about work is you have intimate relationships with people you're not really intimate with as compared to a spouse or a child. So you guys be ready. I'm going to walk over there. The name of this song is Vanilla Ice Cream. Vanilla ice cream on a popsicle stick.
You're just vanilla ice cream on a popsicle stick. Bland to the taste, texture too thick. Now those that are hard to taste it might fall prey to your shtick, but not me. You're just vanilla ice cream on a popsicle stick. You ain't no Ben and Jerry's, you certainly know Dove Ball. And with your sphincter clenched so tightly, I don't know what the hell you are. Now the ignorant among us might crave for a lick, but not me. You're just vanilla ice cream on a popsicle stick. Your face always pinched, like you just bit through a lemon peel. You keeping it oh so serious, you keeping it so real. But your rigid thoughts, your robotic tone, really sorta kinda make me sick. You're just vanilla ice cream on a popsicle stick.
My dear audience, this brings us to the end of the pilot episode of the Electricity Show. I want to thank my guest, Tim, the Jims. I really appreciate you. You were great sports. You helped dearly. Thank you. I want to thank the director of the pilot episode, my extraordinary daughter, Hannah, the floor director, my lovely wife, Linda, and my co-producer, Michelle. I want to thank the Wednesday nights volunteers. I obviously couldn't have done it without you. I appreciate it. Special thanks, of course, to ACMI, and very special thanks to Jonathan Barbado. Without you, this certainly is not happening. I hope you join us next month for the next episode, and I hope that this show has enabled you to better explore your relationship with the energy you consume. Oh, you're just vanilla ice cream on a popsicle stick. You blame to the taste and your texture too thick. Now the ignorant among us might crave for a lick, but not me. You're just vanilla ice cream on a popsicle stick. Good night and thank you. Thank you, everyone.